Spaceballs?
Oh, shit. There goes the planet.
Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, here to talk to you. First up, before we get started, as always, if you want to support this channel, head over to patreon.com. There you can support the channel, get some good stuff, get some deals on t-shirts, get some videos early, and more. Also, if you want to support this channel, head over to StarWarsJunk.net where you can buy some cool t-shirts. Like this one, and this one. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about the classic movie Spaceballs. The one that you all love, but I hate. That's right. I'm not going to call this a movie review per se, because it's not really a review of the film. It's just to tell you the one thing that I know for a fact: Spaceballs sucks.
Buckle up back there, we're going into hyperactive.
But Junkman, you're a Star Wars fan, and it's a spoof on Star Wars movies. You have to like Spaceballs, right? No, I hate it. But I'll be completely honest. When I first saw this film, I was in my mid-teens in the 80s, and I loved it. I thought it was great. And didn't see it for a few years. Went back and tried to watch it, and I said, this isn't really that good. Then a few years after that, I watched it with my kids. And we turned it off. Even my kids didn't like it. Why didn't my kids like it? Why couldn't I sit through it again? Because Spaceballs sucks. So let's get started.
I'm sorry, I had to make a pit stop. I'm so excited, I couldn't hold my oil.
Before we get into why Spaceballs sucks, let me respond to a comment that if I don't respond to, it's going to get left down below in this video. I just know it because whenever I talk about Spaceballs sucks,
It's either the 4th of July or someone's trying to kill us.
people always say, it's because you don't get Mel Brooks. Sorry, but that's not why Spaceballs sucks. I get Mel Brooks. I grew up on Mel Brooks. One of my favorite television shows was a spoof on the James Bond films that Mel Brooks created called Get Smart. Who doesn't like Get Smart? I loved this show as a kid. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it in years. Maybe it doesn't hold up, I'm not sure. But I loved Get Smart. It was great, funny, smart comedy. Even for a kid, and adults liked it also. Also, one of my favorite comedies of all times is a Mel Brooks movie, High Anxiety. I love this movie. Saw it as a kid, thought it was pretty weird and wacky and funny. Saw it again as an adult, and it held up. I still laughed at it. In fact, one of the funniest scenes in any movie ever is in High Anxiety. And if I can find it on YouTube, I'll put it right here so you can laugh also.
That kid gets no tip.
However, when it comes to Mel Brooks, some of his movies just don't hold up. I really loved History of the World Part 1 growing up. Went back and watched it a few years ago. Although I wouldn't say it was a horrible movie, it wasn't as funny as I remember it. And everyone tells me how great Blazing Saddles is. Now, I only saw parts and pieces of it as a child, so I went and watched it a couple years ago. And you know what? It's really not that funny. Except for a few jokes here and there. Overall, it's not a really good movie. Sorry. And everybody talks about the bean eating scene. That would have been funny when I was 8 years old, and it would have been funny probably 20 years ago, but it's really not that funny either. But Blazing Saddles has something going for it that Spaceballs doesn't. Has a good story. I'm not talking about Academy Award winning story here, but it has a story that kind of helps flow the movie and makes the jokes a little more funnier. But I still do like some Mel Brooks movies, such as Silent Movie is a really funny film, and one of the classic comedies, Young Frankenstein still holds up today, but that might be called Gene Wilder's in it. You can't go wrong with Gene Wilder. But as great as Mel Brooks is, I think he's one of the best comedy writers there is. His movies, starting with Spaceballs, started to fall flat. After Spaceballs, he released Life Stinks, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and yes, he directed Dracula, Dead and Loving It. What happened to you, Mel? Horrible, horrible film. So why do I say Spaceballs sucks? First, let me stress, this movie does have some good jokes in it. In fact, if I did a top 10 of my favorite, funniest movie moments, I bet one or two from this movie might make it in my top 10 list. I mean, that alien scene at the end, that might be number one. But when you have a movie over 2 hours long, you need more than a handful of good jokes. Now, the story to this movie is nothing special. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the whole plot. You know what it is if you've seen Spaceballs. If not, you should watch Spaceballs and come back to watch this video. But you don't go to watch Spaceballs for the story. I get that. This movie's for the jokes. You're not going in for a great story. And that's fine. I can get that. If you give me a funny comedy with good, original, smart, funny jokes, I don't need the story to be excellent.
Hello, Charlene.
I'm Marlene.
Hello, Marlene.
I'm Charlene.
Chew your gum.
The problem with the jokes in Spaceballs is they're all the same jokes. Over and over and over again. They're all literal jokes. Jam the radar! They throw jam at it. Comb the desert! They comb the desert. 98% of the jokes in this movie are all like that. All literal jokes. Over and over again. And sure, literal jokes are funny, and they work the first time, but the more you hear the same type of joke over and over, it gets less and less funny. So after about the first 30 or 40 minutes of the movie, hearing those literal jokes over and over again, it gets pretty bad. That's why the beginning of this movie is pretty decent. You get the literal jokes and they're new to you, so they're still kind of funny. And it's fun meeting the strange new character and locations. However, once the heroes land on that Tatooine-like planet and meet Yogurt, get it? It's like Yoda, but it's yogurt. Once they land on this desert planet, the film just tanks. One, you're sick of these literal jokes by this time because we're 40 minutes into the movie. And then they hit you with more of the same joke of, this is just a movie. Spaceballs the bedsheet. Spaceballs the doll. Spaceballs the action figure. Spaceballs the flamethrower. We get it. Spaceballs is a movie. That joke is overdone also.
Spaceballs the t-shirt. Spaceballs the coloring book. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower.
So not only do you have the literal jokes being done over and over again, you get the same joke again being done all over again about how Spaceballs is just a movie and they're going to market it. I get the joke. They're picking on George Lucas. I get it. Come on, you don't need to do the same joke over and over again. When they hit this desert planet and meet Yogurt, this is when I have to turn the movie off. Even my kids told me, Dad, turn this shit off. Let's try to look at some of the not funny jokes. And there's a lot of them, so I'm not going to show them all because I'll be showing you 95% of the movie. But here's some not funny jokes.
I can't breathe in this thing.
Great beasties, what's happened to his head?
It's on backwards. What is this place?
It looks like the Temple of Doom.
That was my Virgin alarm. It's programmed to go off before you do.
Please, please, don't make a fuss. I'm just plain yogurt.
Hey, that's my escape pod. Who are you?
I'm the bearded lady. What are you, one of the freaks?
Evidently, the notorious gangster became locked in his car and ate himself to death.
What's the combination? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
That's amazing. I've got the same combination on my luggage.
Even the funny jokes, you can see them coming a mile away. And that lies the problem when people tell me I just don't get Mel Brooks. Because I get Mel Brooks. I love Mel Brooks. I think Mel Brooks is one of the smartest, wittiest comedy writers ever. And that's what's wrong with Spaceballs. These aren't Mel Brooks jokes. Mel Brooks is better than this. This is just a lazy, same type of joke done over and over and over again. It's jokes that anyone could come up with. In fact, I know before Spaceballs, we were making Pizza the Hut Jabba reference jokes long before this movie. And I'm pretty sure we said yogurt as a joke for Yoda too. I've listened to a lot of Mel Brooks, not just his films. He's done great comedy writing, especially when he was writing with Sid Caesar. You know who I mean, that guy. That's why I hate when people tell me I don't get Mel Brooks, because I get Mel Brooks, and that's why Spaceballs sucks, because Mel Brooks, you're better than this. Now, there are some quotes from the movie that I actually love. There's actually a quote from the movie that I still use a lot today, and that will be this one right here.
Good. Let's get moving. Yes, sir. Driver, prepare to move out.
What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go.
Just go.
Yes, sir.
Sir, shouldn't you sit down?
So why does everyone but me love this movie? I mean, I hear people all the time talk about Spaceballs like it's one of the greatest comedies ever made. I think the reason most people love this film is they saw it as a kid. They saw it probably around 12 to 15. And that's who the movie's aimed for. Nothing wrong with that. But I think now they have a nostalgia for this movie, that they grew up loving it, laughing at it, so they just go back. So now when they watch it, they're reliving their youth. So that's why they think it's so funny today. But I guarantee you, if you go back and watch this movie from adult eyes and not memories you had as a kid, you'll see that Spaceballs sucks.
Yogurt. Yogurt. I hate yogurt. Even with strawberries.
Also, I think a lot of kids got to see Spaceballs in the theater that grew up on Star Wars on VHS, so this was their Star Wars movie on the big screen. It was almost like getting a sequel to Star Wars, something in 1987 we thought we'd probably never get to see. But again, I promise you, if you go back and watch Spaceballs now, you'll see that Spaceballs sucks.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Well, that's my thoughts on the movie Spaceballs. Sadly, we never got Spaceballs 3, The Search for 2. Because with that title just alone, I would have gave Mel Brooks another $10. I want to thank you for watching. As always, go to Patreon to support this channel. Head down to the comment section right now and tell me how wrong I am. Tell me how funny Spaceballs is. And please, tell me I don't get Mel Brooks. I want to thank you for watching. Again, head over to StarWarsJunk.net to buy some cool t-shirts. And we'll be back very soon.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.